I don't really consider myself spiritual, but this album sure did mess with me and distort my idea of what music is. Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we are discussing the Igorrr album, Spirituality and Distortion. Igorrr is the stage name for French musician Gauthier Chèvre. Igorrr, spelt with 3 R's, however, derives from the name of a pet gerbil Gauthier had as a child. He added an extra R just to make it harder to pronounce. Chèvre also claims to have synesthesia, which means he can see colors while listening to music. And with as little as I've said in this review so far, things are not off to the most conventional of starts. That is because Igorrr is as far removed from what most music fans would consider conventional. Spirituality and Distortion is the 4th studio album in the band's canon, and they continue to be as eclectic as metal music goes. Just some of the styles you can expect to hear on this album include Baroque music, black metal, and breakcore. Now, if those are some of the things you wanted to hear all together, you can rejoice, you can celebrate, it's a dream come true. Well, I bet everybody else is probably just wondering why such a thing exists. And I can tell you, it's because music can be a whole lot of different things and exist as more than what you're traditionally used to. I found out that with this album, wow. This record opens as a cold, dark, dystopian world with the song Downgrade Desert before switching to a powerful orchestral arrangement on Nervous Waltz. If you really want to mess with some people at a dinner party, play the second track, you'll confuse the hell out of them and promptly be asked to leave. Frankly, I don't even know many people who would stick around to listen to this music, period. Just the stylistic change alone from the first track to the second. Okay. Now, it's not only between songs that we hear drastic stylistic changes, it's within them too. Some of them work fine. Camel Dancefloor has Eastern instrumentation and sonic palettes. Add to that a future wave of metal, just the amount of electronics on this track, it makes my head spin. Lost in Introspection is an easier song to point to for its cacophony of influences. For starters, with electronic music, you could compare it to Aphex Twin, just with the glitchy production and the breakbeats. Mix that with metal, I guess you can throw Slipknot's name out there just because of the creepy sounding keyboards, and then you're still left with the harrowing string and vocal arrangements that are so grandiose. They remind me of Muse, which I don't think Igorrr would know of them, but hey, it seems like anything and everything was considered for the sound of this record. You really start to believe that anything goes for this album too. That's certainly the case with Musette Maximum, which every time I hear this, it makes me feel like I'm strolling down the streets of Italy or France, just the accordion playing. But confusingly, we are met with blast beats and double kick pedal fury. There's also a playful and slapped bass. All these things come together and they sound pretty corny, but truth be told, this is unlike any song I've ever heard, unless I skip the SpongeBob episode where they start a metal band at the Krusty Krab. Other positives on Spirituality and Distortion, thank goodness some songs on here are a little easier to listen to without having to rethink your definition of music. The band gives you a breather on a track like Hollow Tree, which creatively combines triplet rhythm drum patterns with a harpsichord that plays off the same rhythm but slides in a melodic progression that is really gratifying. Add to that the cut Polyphonic Rust, which has one of the slower head-bobbing riffs, one of the best showcased on here, and there are quite a few tracks that I do enjoy. Now, if it wasn't obvious from the sounds of the songs being a blend of genres and cultures, the song titles will definitely give that away. The closing track here, Kung Fu Chèvre, should make you think of Kung Fu movies and Animal Crossing, but musically it should also bring to mind Stevie Wonder during the final 30 seconds. This song ends up being funky, and I'm okay with it. More than okay, I can actually appreciate it. So I can give a lot of praise to the unexpected twists and turns on this album, but as much as there are strokes of genius, there are aimless passages that either go stale or rush their conclusion. Overweight Poesy is a track on here that has excessive operatic vocals. Definitely not the worst part of that track. It's more of the grueling 6-minute composition that we have to run through, especially when things take such a long time to get going with the instrumentally stripped back sections. Thinking of another track on here, Paranoid Bulldozer Italiano. This is a microcosm of the album's sonic direction with the breakbeats, the metal music, the Baroque music. A true summary of every sonic theme that this album has to give you. The fusion is interesting, noteworthy, innovational, just not as memorable as other tracks. However, the song I detested the most on this record, though, has to be Himalaya Massive Ritual. And this one, yeah, it's one of the more unpredictable and progressive songs of the bunch, maybe the most technically demanding on the drums, too. I just fail to see the purpose of why this is on the record. I feel like it's just thrown on here out of necessity, just to have a tribute to prog metal, which is a shame because this track spends a lot of its time building the tension with atonal riffs that read as black metal, but I feel like there are too many stops and starts in the instrumentation, so many stylistic shifts that the song doesn't really hit a full stride or come together into anything cohesive or noteworthy. Not to mention that this album veers from the really good pace that it had going for during the first 25 minutes or so. Boiling things down though, what I would say is the worst part of this record, in my opinion, is the overuse of operatic vocals. And as much as I love the contrast between guttural vocals that are typically associated with metal and something more of the dual nature, duality of the singers from like July Talk, I just really get my fill of this Igorrr record by the 3/4 mark. Overall, this is an experimental metal record that is very technically sound. Like, I can't even imagine how long I would have to sit at the drums in order to learn how to play one of these songs, but it would feel like forever. The death growls on here, including the feature from George Corpsegrinder Fisher, are something else and require serious talent. Moreover, as diverse as Spirituality and Distortion gets with its influences, if anything I said here intrigued you, give it a shot, at least with the songs I noted down below with my favorites. The album, though, as a whole, in places does seem a little dry, and it does get pretty tedious. But that being said, I'm feeling a 6 out of 10 on this record. There you have it. There is the Igorrr album review today. Make sure you sound off down below in the comments. Let me know what you guys think of this music. I'm really interested to hear if you can sit all the way through this. Are there songs on here that you can get behind and discover this love for metal music? Or am I just crazy? Might just be the last one. Either way, leave a like, subscribe if you're new in town. I'd appreciate that very much. Thanks for watching, and have a rockin' day.